Hey guys, it's Malcom, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Magic in 2020. Another year in the books, and let's go ahead and take a look at what happened in this year, see what's going on, how did we do, compared to last year, and see what's going on. Okay, so yeah, whew. This is like my second or third time recording this, and big problem was I was just repeating myself a lot. So a lot of the same information, I decided to condense it down into something a little bit more digestible. Normally this would be like a super long thing, but like so much of what happened this year is a repeat of what happened last year. I mean, I can't, if you've been playing Magic for the last year, I mean, there's no way you are, I don't need to go over this stuff again. You all learned it the hard way. So let's just hit some of the major points, and we'll just go from there. So another year, another good trillion, bazillion, jajillion. Jajillion is a word. I definitely didn't just make that up. Lots of new products, like 20 something odd new secret layers, like a million other new products, like spoilers every other week. I mean, and now this is a good thing. One of the nice things is a lot of reprints, right? A lot of reprints. I mean, sure, there's still reserve list, which we'll get to a little bit later, but a lot of the stuff that's not on the reserve list has been reprinted quite a bit, and a lot of these cards, they're just expensive just due to demand, or in some cases price memory. So there's just too many products. I think there's just way too much products. A lot of the secret layer stuff is just weird. I just I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan. So yeah, obviously the card design is a huge one. There's just poorly designed cards. So I mean, literally all of them. I mean, maybe not all of them, but like they just threw out the rule book. I mean, I'm not sure what they're doing. It's like they unlearned all the lessons that they learned apparently, and free mana, free cards, cards that, in a power crept sense, do too much, right? They just keep tacking on words into text boxes. It's not good. Eternal formats, of course, tend to change pretty slowly, but all these new crazy, ridiculous things have made them change a lot. Again, that doesn't particularly bother me. I know a lot of people don't really like it, though, and I can certainly understand why. But, I mean, obviously things are going to change. Certainly the rate could be too fast, whether it's like that now. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I only really play one or two different decks, so I mean, I'll always play them, so doesn't matter if they're good or not. But also the card quality as well, still not particularly good. It seems to just be dependent upon where it's printed, whether it's Japan, Europe, or America. The foils are not very good. The cardstock has been noticeably different and weird the last 3 or 4 years. Not the same one that they've always used. Clearly this is not the same stuff. So yeah, that sucks. There's a lot of weird stuff like the Godzilla cards that were released, the Secret Lair, the Walking Dead one. I mean, these things are really weird and immersion breaking. Especially the Walking Dead stuff, which is like literally like probably the worst thing that happened this year, because it's just horrible. Like, who even cares about The Walking Dead? It's a stupid show. It's like a completely dumb premise. Like, uh, no one even cares. So I mean, I guess it makes sense that like they're like, oh, a show that's been past its prime, like I don't know, 5 years or something. Like, who even cares about this? Like, it's stupid. Like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like, I don't understand, and their reasoning and everything, just total money grab, total cash grab, trying to cash in on the people that actually like that thing, which apparently is a lot. I mean, a lot of people just don't have good taste, clearly, but again, these things sort of take you out of the moment. These things don't make any sense. They don't make any. I mean, at least like, say for example, the new D&D set coming up this year. Again, at least it's a Wizards property. Um, and B, like it's at least a fantasy storytelling kind of thing, like that would be possible to like do a crossover thing. I mean, in a lot of respects, they share a lot of the same lifeblood. Obviously, Magic began as like a supplement or made off ideas from Dungeons and Dragons. So at least that one makes a lot of sense. But this random like other IP stuff is just is strange. It's weird. It's immersion breaking, and that's not the only thing. Of course, like the weird like cat and dog stuff for Core Set 2021 was really bad. That was not fun. That was just stupid. Like, for example, we've had dogs or hounds in the past, uh, and we've had them forever, and there were some really powerful cards, so we saw them a lot. For example, Jackal or Wild Mongrel. These cards were all over the place, and no one was like, oh my gosh, there's a dog, this is stupid, who cares, right? It wasn't a big deal, it was just like, okay, this makes sense. Jackal was even a familiar, right? It was the familiar of the whatever mages or something. But yeah, when you look at some of these dogs cards in the course of 2021, that looks like your dog that you have at home just being derpy and weird. It's just like, what? Come on, dude. Like this is stupid. Same thing with the cat stuff. Same thing with the cat stuff. For example, they can do it right. Like look at Amonkhet. The Amonkhet stuff with all the cats obviously fit very well within the Egyptian mythology. They occupy an important place there. So that's not that weird, right? That was totally fine. It made sense. But this glomming on to like memes and stuff is very I mean it dates it and it's cringe and it's stupid. Again, this is something that's thought up by marketing or maybe the people that even work there. I mean, who knows who pitched this, but it not very good, not very good. It's pretty stupid. The story itself is just like whatever. I guess it's a little better. Like we didn't get a story for Theros probably because it was garbage, written by Greg Weisman, the dude that did the War of the Spark stuff. Totally horrible. The Zendikar stuff was actually pretty good, pretty interesting. It was about like the quality you'd expect for a Magic story. So yeah. So I mean, I guess it's just like whatever, right? But I don't know. Whatever, whatever. A lot of weird bad stuff. Of course, draw a card. Strikes again. Just draw a card on everything. Every creature has to say draw a card on it. A bunch of the worst designed creatures just have it tacked on for some reason. Hello, Elder Gargaroth. Like, why does the thing draw a card? It just does literally everything. That's just, yeah. Elder Gargaroth would have been like a more obnoxious card if it wasn't, well, if it wasn't from this year, right? Everything else is just like, it's so stupid. And what we see really the same trends from 2019 repeated this year. Very unfortunate, very unfortunate. Same stuff. So same overpowered cards, same just too many products, too much this, too much that, all this stuff. Not very good. And of course the pandemic really hurt a lot of card shops. This is unfortunate. That caused all sorts of problems. Obviously cessation of in-store play and large organized play and stuff's just on Arena, and it's like this isn't even the same, not even close. It's just not the same. It's not the same playing with your friends, playing with people in real life, talking to them. You just don't get that same kind of thing. So it sucks, but that was also another big thing. Of course, this isn't Wizards of the Coast fault, as if that even needs to be stated, but it was another bad thing that certainly adversely affected things. And then, of course, there's a lot of reserved list spikes, weird stuff like Jester's Mask spiking hard, which, I mean, I'd be surprised this card's ever seen any play. Like, Jester's Cap has actually been seen play because it's actually pretty good. I mean, obviously, it just costs a bunch of mana, but there's a lot of stuff that, a lot of weird reserve list spikes, a lot of the same stuff we're seeing that was like from 2018, where we have just everything, the reserve list indexes just grows like 10-20% or more. Saw a lot of not fetch lands, but dual lands, original duels, ABU duels. They spiked pretty hard. I think a lot of them like doubled in price. So yeah. And last but not least, another big problem this year, of course, was the year of Commander. Everything's Commander. Just a million Commander products. all year long, and they were okay. Some of them were fine, but certainly I think it's bad for Commander itself, the format, because we saw too many things like with the free spell cycle from Ikoria. That was, just like more cards are just auto includes. Like I'm not really, I mean, again, you start like really cutting down deck lists a lot. I mean, this is why I don't even like to play black decks a lot in Commander, just because it's like, okay, I need Demonic, I need, Vampiric. If I'm heavy black enough, I'll need Urborg and Coffers, and like, you just start like whittling down, like, okay, I have to have all these auto plays, not including stuff like Soul Ring or Mana Crypt or whatever. Obviously, you're playing black. I guess that you can play Necropotence would be sort of a draw to Commander, but it's obviously a stupid card when you have 40 life and life gain's playable, or life gain-esque like spells are playable. Yeah, it's pretty silly. So yeah, adding more auto includes to Commander is not good, but also like trying to make actual Magic more like Commander was a huge problem, and we'll get into that in just a sec. But yeah, things not so good this year, not so good. A lot of lessons that we need to learn or relearn, and by we I mean Wizards of the Coast. So there you go. Okay, so let's look at some of the cards that were not good. Some of the main offenders this year. I don't think I need to tell you guys about any of these things. I'm sure you've played with them or played against them more than a few times. Uro, of course, um, coming out at the beginning of the year, being a huge problem. Pretty much every format banned some places. Obviously banned it in Standard, of course, because it was ridiculous. Still a huge player in Modern and Legacy. This card is absurd. Interacting with it is bad. It's basically free ramp and life gain, and of course, gains life, or basically pseudo life gain is like a pseudo time walk with this card, because then you can replay it, which gains you more life, which gives you more chances to draw more cards and put more lands into play, and just sort of snowballs out of control. Yeah, this card is pretty stupid. I mean, you can't interact with it, but you have to interact with it because it'll kill you in like 4 turns at the latest. So yeah, pretty dumb. Then of course we have Omnath. Omnath coming in Zendikar Rising. This card, I mean, look at his text box. Like, you couldn't even fit more words in there if you wanted to. 4 mana, 4/4 card pot, more free life gain. It makes itself free, so it's a free spell, and it like domes your opponent. Oh, and if they have any planeswalkers, it nukes them too. Again, this thing, of course, this deck was completely busted. The Omnath ramp decks were insane, I mean, completely nuts. Like, I was watching, I think it was like the Red Bull Untapped Open or something on Arena, and some dude was playing the Omnath ramp deck, and his opening hand was like fucking garbage. Like, it was bad, and his opponent playing some random white deck or whatever, coming out hot, gotten all sorts of like cards and stuff in play, and like, man, it's looking really bad for this Omnath guy. It looks like he's really about to lose. And then like he casts his only spell of the game, a Genesis Ultimatum, wipes his opponent's board with like Terror of the Peaks, puts an Omnath into play, gains a million. I mean, it's just like so stupid. Like, why? What is even going on here? There's just these cards just do too much, and it's just completely absurd. Completely absurd. Yeah, Omnath, very, very good, very, very powerful. Pretty ridiculous deck in Modern, the Uro Omnath decks. Ugh. And then, of course, we have companions. Obviously, Lurrus, of course, who is perhaps very fittingly the most fitting creature type of all time, is a nightmare cat. So like a regular cat, he gets all over the place, fucks your shit up, and like a nightmare, he won't go away. So real fun. But of course, what we have here showing Zirda. Zirda, of course, was just as problematic, if not more so, in places like Legacy, where the combos with the monoliths, so like Basalt Monolith or whatever, get you infinite mana, and then you could tutor up Walking Ballista to kill your opponent. I mean, this is again, talk about bringing the worst aspects of Commander into 60 card formats. One of the worst parts of Commander is my combo pieces in the command zone. This is not fun. This is stupid. Like, oh, yeah, it's a two-card combo, but, you know, you can't actually interact with this other card until I play it, you know, whenever I want, and I can choose whenever I want, but basically it's totally invincible and you can't do anything to it. I mean, this is just, I just don't understand. Like, companions were such a piss poor idea, like having an eighth card, and some of these restrictions are already naturally met by decks that, you know, for example, like Lurrus, you know, and pretty much most every Delver deck. So, like, having an eighth card for free, and a lot of these cards do more than that. They're not just trained Armadons, they have actual good abilities. For example, like Lurrus, where it's like, oh, you can replay your Seal of Fire from the graveyard or your Deadweight or something. I just keep getting card advantage this way. This is like, I don't understand. Non-companion decks, very difficult time to keep up, if any even could. I mean, it's just a horrific idea. It caused an errata, a power level errata, the first time in what, since 2006 or 7, when they undid a lot of the errata on things like Phyrexian Dreadnought and Time Vault and things like that. I mean, companions were the worst mistake this year, at least gameplay-wise or balance-wise, card design, because they affected every format. They were completely dumb. I mean, there was some interesting stuff. There was like a Lurrus White Weenie deck, like a literal White Weenie deck in Legacy that was pretty sweet, but yeah, it was a silver lining to a shit cloud, if I ever heard. So yeah, not good. Zerta was probably perhaps even the most ridiculous one. I don't even know. Like, these decks were just monstrosities. I'm not even sure. Like, they were just like a million different sort of archetypes all slammed together, and it was just horrible. The Zerta decks were like combo ramp, maybe control. I don't know. They were just ridiculous, just ridiculous. And of course, Underworld Breach, another issue, another problem card in the nascent Pioneer format, eventually got banned. And of course, a problem in Legacy combining with Lionside Diamond, and is doing pretty well in Vintage, being able to basically replay your tutors over and over again, you know, like Demonic, Vampiric, stuff like that. That's pretty great. So good stuff there. Obviously, combos very well with Black Lotus, another card that breaks Black Lotus. Can you imagine? But yeah, Breach is definitely very powerful. Hasn't done very much in Modern. Obviously, this card is a pretty low floor, but a very high ceiling. It's not as... you can't just put it in anything. Like, if you were playing a black deck, you put Yawgmoth's Will in basically every black deck, like 2 or 3 copies. But Breach definitely requires a little bit more deck building from you. But with certain cards, like, it's so easily met, like again, in Vintage with Lotus. So there are Breach decks, whereas something like Yawgmoth's Will would just be like in a bunch of different decks, because it's just like, well, it's ridiculous. But they're they're too similar. They're too similar. You shouldn't be printing cards that are too much like Yawgmoth's Will. I don't know if this is like, what's the, you know, I don't understand. I don't understand. But anyways, so yeah, but it wasn't all bad. That's right, there actually were some pretty nice cards that were printed this year. So, we got Skyclave Apparition. This is perhaps the most important one because this really expands White's color pie. It's supposed to be good at removing stuff, but outside of like Swords and much older formats, or Path to Exile or something like that in Modern, its ability to remove stuff isn't bad, but it's just a little narrow. Skyclave, certainly not narrow, very powerful, lots of good blink shenanigans, good tribal synergies, say either core or spirit. For example, if you cavern on core, of course, this will let you also put in uncounterable Stormforged Mystics, so that's pretty based, pretty nice. And this is just a very balanced, powerful card. I mean, just so good. Probably the most important card printed this year, does great things in every single format it's in. I love it. I love Skyclave Apparition. Really reinfused the Death and Taxes archetype in Legacy. Very good with blink and stuff. So with, say, Flicker Wisp, you can get like a 2-for-1 with Flicker Wisp off of Aether Vial, or just blinking it with something like Yorion Sky Nomad. Um, it's great. I can't say, no one can say anything bad about Skyclave Apparition. I'll take you to the cleaners, alright? Friggin' Skyclave Apparition is great. This card is perfect. I love it. So this is one of the nice things this year. They did expand, or working to expand, White's color pie, making it do more different, interesting things. And this, making it just slightly better at removing stuff. Very good. It even has a downside. Can you believe they printed a card with a downside? How is that even possible? This thing's great. This thing's great. I love it. Next up, of course, from the same set, Scourge of the Skyclaves. This was another card that really sort of ramped up the kind of red-black Death Shadow deck. So it's like your, shadows 5 through 8. This thing is great. It's really sweet. It's got cool art. It's a spooky demon bat thing, I guess. I don't know what the hell's going on in this art, but yeah, this is really cool. This is a great card. I mean, yeah, it's like you got the Death Shadow decks or the Prowess decks, and they kind of merged them together, I guess. I don't know. It's very cool. This is a very powerful, fun, interesting card that obviously requires you to build around it. So it powers up decks like that, which is great, which is exactly what you want to see. Speaking of powering up specific decks, now we got some big boys. First off, we got Muxus, Goblin Grandee. This card is nuts. Holy moly, this thing is great. Obviously very good in Historic and Best of 1 or Best of 3. Definitely a pretty sweet and powerful deck there. But obviously really shines in Legacy Goblins, where this thing just goes nuts. I mean, again, Lackey into Muxus is like about as good as a turn 2 kill as you can really get. It's super hard to come back from this card if you even hit just 2 other goblins. I mean, it's just so many dudes on board, such a big body. It gets bigger when it attacks. This thing is great. Really breathed. I mean, Goblins is already on the upswing because of Modern Horizons, the cards it's added, stuff like Trashmaster and Crater Maker in previous sets. And so Muxus was like cherry on top. I mean, literally cherry on top. Sits on top of your curve even, so it's like, you like that sort of symmetry there? Pretty based. And, of course, we got Allosaurus Shepherd. Offered another nice infusion to the elf decks. It had gotten a little better with Elvish Reclaimer. You can tutor up your Guy's Cradles or Pendlehavens or something like that, or even a Bayou, I guess, if need be. But Shepherd, this card's great because this lets you play through Chalice, gives you a huge game against blue decks because obviously it makes all your stuff uncounterable, and it's a mana outlet. So like if you have Cradle and just some random dudes and no action, I mean, you just produce a bunch of mana, turn your dudes into Dino Riders, and then you're off to the races. And by off to the races, I mean you stampede and kill your opponent in one swing. But really great stuff. Very good. These cards all help certain specific archetypes that do need help, or it's okay to really push the power. Something like Muxus is okay because it's only playable in Goblin decks, right? You can't just like jam Force of Wills and your cantrips and everything else into your Muxus deck or whatever. It does require actual deck building, and so this kind of stuff is very interesting and it's very good. This is where you can turn it to 11, I think, and I think they certainly did. I think it worked out really well. Again, they're a little silly. Some stuff's a little silly, but that's okay. I'm willing to let them push the power on that kind of stuff. All right, so yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't want to go on too long. Like I said, I repeat myself a lot. So much of what I said last year is applicable to this year. A lot of really bad stuff, too many bans, really poor card design, really, I mean, who even knows how organized play works? No one actually does. Arena, which has a weird economy, MTGO still being a buggy mess, lots of issues. There's really not like a bright side. I mean, I guess Jumpstart was pretty nice. That was a pretty good set. Mystery Booster was pretty good, and I guess, that was nice. But every major release had a big had a couple problem cards for pretty much most formats, and that's not good. That's obviously not good. So we'll see how it goes. Call time spoilers are coming up soon. By the time you watch this, it'll probably already be started. There've already been some leaks, but I don't want to talk about those yet. Not until I see more of the set. But yeah, so what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But that's okay. That's okay. You know what we're here for? We're here for the Socratic dialogue, and by Socratic dialogue, I mean the Socratic monologue, which is not something I just made up. But yeah, so you guys can listen to me. Take you to school. And it'll be based. It'll be based. So I'm glad you guys tuned in. I mean, hopefully, honestly, most of this stuff's probably already burned into your head at this point. Not a good year. A lot of really bad stuff. But there's a few silver linings, of course. Lots of reprints, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, that's basically it. So I hope you guys have a nice day. I hope you have a nice, happy, good new year. I hope we all have a nice, happy new year. And thanks for stopping by, and have a nice day.